There are thousands of videos you could be watching right now, thousands of voices calling for your attention, but you are here. Not because you chose this, but because something inside you did. And when that happens, it is often a sign that this moment was meant to find you. If your life feels unusually quiet lately, stay with me, because this is usually the phase before Allah changes everything. The quiet that finds you before the change. My dear brother, my dear sister, let me speak to you softly, not as someone giving a lecture, but as someone sitting beside you in this quiet moment, the kind of moment where the world finally stops asking things from you, where the day loosens its grip, where your shoulders drop just a little and you can breathe without feeling like you need to hurry somewhere. If you are listening to this right now, I want you to notice something simple. Notice how still your surroundings are. Notice how your breathing sounds in your chest. Notice how your heart feels, even if you cannot fully describe it. Because this moment is not loud and it is not accidental. You did not plan to be here. You did not wake up this morning thinking, tonight I will sit with these words. You did not schedule this into your life. And yet, here you are. Something inside you slowed down. Your thumb paused. Your eyes stayed. Your heart leaned forward, even if your mind did not fully understand why. And my dear brother, my dear sister, that is often how Allah begins His work. Not with a thunder in the sky, not with a dramatic sign that everyone can see, but with a quiet pull inside a single heart. Sometimes Allah does not shout. Sometimes He whispers. You may feel like your life has gone quiet lately. Not just on the outside, but on the inside too. Conversations that used to fill your day have become fewer. The noise that once surrounded you has softened. The rush you used to live in has slowed down. And in that slowing, something uncomfortable begins to happen. You start to feel yourself. You feel the tiredness you used to distract yourself from. You feel the questions you used to avoid. You feel the hopes you buried because you were too busy to face them. When everything is loud, you can outrun your own heart. You can fill your time with work, with people, with scrolling, with noise, with movement. But when things become quiet, there is nowhere to run. Now, it is just you and what you are carrying inside. And this is where many people become afraid. They call this silence loneliness. They call this stillness emptiness. They call this pause a sign that something is wrong. But let me offer you a softer way to see it. What if this is not emptiness? What if this is space? Think about a cup that is already full. No matter how pure the water you try to pour into it, nothing new can enter. It simply spills over and is lost. The heart is the same. If your heart is always full of noise, of stress, of expectations, of pressure, of the voices of others telling you who you should be, there is no room for something deeper to settle inside you. So sometimes Allah gently empties the cup, not to leave it dry, but to make space. Space for peace, space for clarity, space for a connection that is not rushed or crowded. You may not realize it, but this quiet phase can be one of the most merciful phases of your life. Because in this space, you begin to hear things you have not heard in a long time. You hear your own thoughts without interruption. You hear your own prayers without performance. You hear your own heart without judgment. You begin to ask questions that are not about the world, but about yourself. Who am I really? What am I running toward? What am I running away from? What do I actually need, not what I tell people I need? These are not easy questions, but they are honest ones. And honesty is the soil where real change grows. My dear brother, my dear sister, let me tell you something very gently. Allah often begins transformation by slowing you down. Because when you are moving fast, you rarely look around. And when you are surrounded by people, you rarely look inside. So He creates a pause, a quiet evening, a slower season, a stretch of life where things do not move as quickly as you expected. Not because He has forgotten you, but because He wants you to notice something. Have you ever watched the sky just before dawn? The night becomes very still. The air feels different. The darkness deepens just a little more. And if you did not know what was coming, you might think this is the deepest part of the night. But in reality, it is the closest moment to morning. Your heart can go through the same experience. This quiet you are feeling may not be the absence of something. It may be the nearness of something. You may notice that fewer people are around you now. Fewer voices are influencing you. Fewer opinions are shaping your choices. And this can feel uncomfortable because human beings are not built to enjoy being alone with their thoughts at first. But this is often where Allah brings you closer to Him. Not through crowds, not through applause, not through attention, but through stillness. In the quiet, your prayers change. They become less formal, less scripted, more honest. You stop worrying about saying the right words. You start saying the real ones. You may find yourself speaking to Allah in your own language, in your own way, with your own emotion, sometimes with gratitude, sometimes with confusion, sometimes with tears you did not plan to shed. And in those moments, something deepens inside you. Your relationship with Allah becomes less about routine and more about connection. This is something that rarely happens when life is loud. Let me speak to the part of you that feels like nothing is happening right now. You may look at your life and think, I am stuck. You may feel like the doors you hoped would open are still closed. The changes you prayed for have not arrived yet. The answers you asked for are still not clear, and that can be heavy. But consider this. When a seed is placed in the soil, from the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. The ground is still, the surface does not change. But underneath, something powerful is taking place. The seed is breaking. Roots are forming. Life is pushing outward in a direction you cannot see yet. If you were to dig it up too early, you would destroy the very process that allows it to grow. Sometimes Allah keeps you in the quiet, not because He is delaying you, but because He is protecting the process. There are changes that cannot happen in front of everyone. There are strengths that cannot be built in public. There are parts of you that need to be shaped in private. So He creates a space where you are less seen, less distracted, less pulled in every direction. And in that space, He works on you. Your patience grows, even if you do not notice it. Your awareness deepens, even if you cannot measure it. Your heart softens, even if the world does not see it. You may not feel successful in this season. You may not feel ahead. But you may be becoming someone who can carry what is coming, and that is far more important. Let me speak gently to the fear that sometimes comes with this quiet. The fear of being forgotten, the fear of being left behind, the fear that everyone else is moving forward while you are standing still. My dear brother, my dear sister, Allah does not lose track of a single soul. Not in a crowd, not in a quiet room, not in a forgotten corner of the world. If He can count every leaf that falls, every star in the sky, every drop of rain that touches the earth, do you really think your life is unnoticed? This quiet moment you are in is seen. Every prayer you whisper is heard. Every tear you hide is known. Every question you carry is understood. And sometimes the greatest mercy is not in giving you what you ask for right away. Sometimes it is in preparing you to receive it without losing yourself. So if your life feels quiet, do not rush to fill it with noise. Do not rush to distract yourself from what this season is trying to show you. Sit with it gently. Ask Allah to guide you through it, not out of it. Because this quiet may be doing something for you that constant movement never could. It may be teaching you who you are when nothing is demanding your attention. And that is often where real strength begins. Let me leave you with this thought. My dear brother, my dear sister, the quiet you feel is not the absence of His presence. It is the closeness of it. And sometimes Allah comes nearest to the heart when everything else becomes still. Why Allah removes the noise before He reveals the path. My dear brother, my dear sister, let me speak to you in this soft moment, because this lesson is not meant for a rushing heart. It is meant for the one who has finally slowed down enough to feel the weight they have been carrying. Have you noticed something about your life lately? How certain things that once filled your days have grown quieter. How some conversations no longer happen. How some places no longer feel the same. How some people no longer stand as close as they once did. And in that quiet, a question begins to rise inside you. Why is this being taken away from me? It is a natural question, a human one, because we often measure stability by what stays the same. We feel safe when our routines remain untouched. We feel comfort when familiar faces keep showing up. We feel grounded when our world looks predictable. So when something changes, even slowly, it can feel like loss. But my dear brother, my dear sister, let me offer you a gentler way to see this. Not every removal is a punishment. Not every ending is a rejection. Not every closed door is a sign that you have failed. Sometimes Allah removes the noise because the noise was covering the direction. Think about a room filled with voices. Everyone is speaking at once. Advice is coming from every side. Opinions are pulling you in different directions. Expectations are pressing on your chest. In that room, how do you hear a whisper? You cannot. So Allah lowers the volume of the room. He does not always do it suddenly. He often does it slowly, quietly, almost gently. A message comes less often. An invitation stops arriving. A role you played in someone's life begins to fade. A routine that once defined your days begins to break. At first, you may resist it. You may try to hold on. You may wonder what you did wrong. But what if this is not about what you did wrong? What if this is about where Allah is trying to lead you next? When life is full of noise, you tend to move without thinking. You follow patterns because they are familiar. You stay in places because they are comfortable. You keep people close because they are known, not necessarily because they are meant. Noise has a way of keeping you where you are. Silence has a way of making you look forward. In this quiet phase, you may notice that your heart starts to question things it once accepted without thinking. Why am I doing this? Why am I chasing that? Why does this matter so much to me? Does this bring me closer to peace or further away from it? These questions do not usually rise in a busy life. They rise in a still one. This is why silence can feel uncomfortable, because it does not distract you. It does not entertain you. It does not let you hide. It gently places a mirror in front of your soul. And in that mirror, you begin to see things clearly. You may begin to realize that some of the noise in your life was not helping you grow. It was helping you stay the same. Some of the voices were not guiding you. They were shaping you into a version of yourself that was easy for the world to understand, but hard for your heart to recognize. So Allah removes the noise, not all at once, not harshly, but in a way that leaves space. And in that space, something new begins. You start to hear your own prayers differently. You start to feel your own needs more honestly. You start to sense what brings calm to your chest and what tightens it. This is where Allah begins to draw your path, not on the outside of your life, but on the inside of your heart. Let me speak to the feeling of confusion that often comes in this season. You may think, if Allah is guiding me, why does everything feel unclear? But guidance does not always come as a map. Sometimes it comes as a pull away from certain places, a pull away from certain habits, a pull away from certain people, a pull away from the version of you that no longer fits who you are becoming. And at first, that pull does not tell you where you are going. It only tells you where you cannot stay. This is difficult for the human heart because we like certainty, we like plans, we like knowing what comes next. But faith often grows in the space between what you left and what has not yet arrived. This is where you learn to walk without seeing the full road. This is where you learn to trust the one who does. My dear brother, my dear sister, let me remind you of something very simple and very powerful. If Allah is removing something from your life, it is never without purpose. He does not empty your hands just to leave them empty. He empties them to place something else inside. But before He does, He makes sure your heart is ready to receive it. Think about how easily we hold on to what is familiar, even when it no longer brings peace. We cling to habits, roles, and relationships because they feel like part of who we are. So sometimes Allah gently loosens our grip, not to hurt us, but to free us. This is why this quiet phase can feel like standing in the middle of nowhere. You are no longer where you were, but you are not yet where you will be. And in that middle space, it can feel uncomfortable, empty, uncertain. But this is often where the most honest growth happens. Because now you are not moving for people. You are not performing for approval. You are not following a script. You are listening. listening to your heart, listening to your conscience, listening to the gentle guidance of Allah, and slowly, without a loud announcement, your direction begins to shift. You may not wake up one day and say, now I know exactly where I am going. But you may wake up and realize, I no longer want to go where I used to. And that, my dear brother, my dear sister, is also guidance. Let me speak to the fear that sometimes comes with this silence. The fear of making the wrong move. The fear of stepping away from something and regretting it. The fear of being alone in your choices. Remember this. Allah does not guide you into a place where He will abandon you. If He is pulling you away from something, He is also walking with you towards something else, even if you cannot see it yet. This is why the noise must go first. Because if your ears are full of the world, your heart cannot hear Him. So in this quiet season, do not rush to fill the space with distractions. Do not rush to replace what was removed just to feel busy again. Sit in the stillness for a moment. Ask Allah, not just for answers, but for understanding. Because sometimes the path is not revealed as a destination. It is revealed as a change in who you are becoming. And when that change settles inside you, the direction outside you will begin to make sense. Let me leave you with this, my dear brother, my dear sister. Silence is not always the absence of guidance. Sometimes it is the sound of Allah clearing the way for you to hear it. The hidden work Allah does when nothing seems to be happening. My dear brother, my dear sister, let me speak to you in this quiet moment, because this lesson is for the part of you that feels tired of waiting. The part of you that keeps looking at your life and thinking, I am praying, but I don't see anything changing. That feeling can be heavy. It can sit in your chest like a slow ache, not sharp enough to cry about every day, but deep enough to make you wonder at night. Is Allah hearing me? Am I doing something wrong? Why does it feel like I am standing still while time keeps moving? These are not weak questions. They are human ones. Let me tell you something gently. Just because you cannot see movement does not mean there is no progress. We live in a world that teaches us to measure everything by what can be seen. We celebrate what is visible. We count what can be posted. We value what can be announced. But Allah often works in places that do not make noise. He works in the heart. He works in the mind. He works in the unseen parts of who you are. Think about how a tree grows. You notice the branches when they stretch outward. You admire the leaves when they appear. You enjoy the shade when it finally stands tall. But the strongest part of the tree is not what you see. It is the roots. And those roots grow in darkness. They push through the soil where no one claps for them. They spread where no one notices. They strengthen in silence. If a tree tried to grow tall before its roots were deep, the first strong wind would bring it down. The same is true for the human soul. If blessings come before the heart is ready, they can break you instead of lift you. So Allah often begins by strengthening what is hidden. My dear brother, my dear sister, let me speak to the season where your life feels unchanged on the outside. You wake up, you go through your day. You sleep, and it feels like yesterday repeated itself. This can make you feel invisible. It can make you feel like your efforts do not matter. But let me tell you something that may comfort you. Some of the most important changes in your life will never be visible to anyone else. The moment you choose patience instead of anger. The moment you choose honesty instead of convenience. The moment you choose prayer instead of despair. The moment you choose trust instead of panic. These moments do not trend. They do not get celebrated. They do not get announced. But in the sight of Allah, they carry immense weight. In this quiet phase, Allah may be teaching you to respond differently to the same situations. You may not notice it at first. You may still feel frustrated. You may still feel tired. You may still feel unsure. But slowly, something shifts. You react with a little more calm. You speak with a little more care. You let go with a little more ease. This is not small. This is transformation. Let me speak to the feeling of delay that often lives in this season. You may feel like your life is paused, but consider this. When a builder wants to construct something strong, they spend a long time on the foundation. They dig, they measure, they reinforce, they check again and again. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. People walk by and see a hole in the ground. They do not see the planning. They do not see the measuring. They do not see the reinforcement. But without that hidden work, whatever rises above the ground will not last. Allah builds in a similar way. He often strengthens your foundation before He raises your life to a new level. This is why this season can feel slow, because Allah is not rushing something that needs to stand. My dear brother, my dear sister, let me speak to the part of you that feels tired of being strong. You may feel like you have been patient for a long time, like you have been waiting for a long time, like you have been carrying hope quietly for a long time. And some nights, you may feel like setting it down. In those moments, remember this: Allah does not test you to see you fall. He tests you to see you rise in ways you did not know you could. Every time you choose to keep going, even softly, even imperfectly, something inside you grows. Not in a way that makes you loud, but in a way that makes you steady. Let me speak to the fear that sometimes comes when you do not see clear results. The fear that you are wasting time, the fear that you made the wrong choices, the fear that you should have taken a different path. But what if this season is not about choosing the right path? What if it is about becoming the right person for the path that is coming? There are doors that will not open for the version of you that you were. There are responsibilities that cannot be carried by the heart you had before. There are blessings that require a depth you did not yet possess. So Allah deepens you. He uses waiting to stretch your patience. He uses silence to strengthen your trust. He uses uncertainty to teach you reliance. These are not comfortable lessons, but they are powerful ones. My dear brother, my dear sister, let me speak to the nights when your prayers feel quiet. When you speak to Allah and do not feel an immediate answer. When you ask and the sky does not change. When you hope and the situation looks the same. Those nights can feel heavy. But consider this: just because you do not hear a response does not mean your words did not reach Him. Sometimes Allah answers by changing the situation. Sometimes He answers by changing you. And the second answer often lasts longer. You may not get what you asked for right away, but you may receive something that prepares you for what you will receive later. A stronger heart, a calmer mind, a deeper connection. These are gifts, even if they do not look like the ones you imagined. Let me speak to the moment when you start to feel different, even if you cannot explain why. You may notice that things that once bothered you do not hold the same power, that people's opinions do not shake you the way they used to, that your sense of worth is becoming quieter but firmer. This is not coincidence. This is growth. Growth often feels like loss before it feels like gain. You lose certain expectations. You lose certain attachments. You lose certain versions of yourself. But what you gain is something steadier. A sense of who you are when no one is watching. A sense of what matters when everything else falls away. A sense of who you turn to when the world feels far. My dear brother, my dear sister, let me remind you of something simple. Allah does not waste a single moment of your life. Not the waiting, not the confusion, not the quiet, not the tears. Everything is being used. Even the days that feel empty are shaping something inside you. So if you are in a season where nothing seems to be happening, do not rush to escape it. Do not rush to label it as failure. Sit with it gently. Ask Allah, what are you teaching me here? And listen not just for words, but for changes in your heart. Because sometimes the greatest sign that Allah is working in your life is not what is changing around you. It is what is changing within you. Let me leave you with this, my dear brother, my dear sister. The hidden work Allah does inside you will one day hold up the visible blessings you receive. And when that day comes, you will not look back at this quiet season and call it empty. You will call it necessary, because without it, you would not have been ready for what came next. The truth behind feeling left behind. My dear brother, my dear sister, let me speak to the quiet place in your heart where comparison lives, the place you rarely talk about but often visit when you are alone. You may be scrolling through your phone late at night. You see people smiling, people celebrating, people announcing new beginnings, new achievements, new chapters. And even if you are happy for them, something small and heavy can form inside you. A gentle question, a quiet ache. Why not me? Why not yet? Why does it feel like everyone else is moving forward and I am standing still? These thoughts do not always come with anger. Sometimes they come with tiredness, sometimes with sadness, sometimes with a soft kind of disappointment you do not know how to explain. Let me tell you something with kindness. Feeling left behind does not mean you are failing. It means you are human. We live in a world that shows us the highlights of other people's lives, but rarely their hidden struggles. We see the smiles, but not the nights of worry. We see the celebrations, but not the long seasons of uncertainty that came before them. So when you look at your own quiet life next to